All right, hello everyone. Welcome to a video for how to use OBS to enhance your video lectures. This video will specifically cover this section on adding your desktop to your video lecture. So this is probably one of the most important sources of your video lecture, given that, if you're talking or presenting to students, there's most likely something you want to show them, whether it's a PowerPoint or maybe it's something on a website or a browser. So it's pretty crucial to add the desktop to your video lecture. So this is how we go about doing that. Much like adding the microphone, much like adding the background image, we're going to go to our sources section and click on this little plus icon. Okay. Then in this pop-up menu, we're going to scroll to display capture. So click this. As always, OBS wants us to give it a name. Since I have two monitors going, one for my OBS control panel and one for my main desktop, I'm just going to call this one second monitor. You can name it anything that you would like. All right, then we're going to click OK. And now, as you can see in this window that pops up, let me make this a little smaller. Depending on how many monitors you have, you're going to get the option of picking which monitor or which desktop you want to capture. So the one you see now, obviously, this one I don't want to capture because this is currently focused on my OBS control panel. This is the one that I do want to see. And this is the one I do want to display in my video lecture. So I'm going to click OK. And now it's been added to my my preview pane, my layout, but currently it's really big. It's taking up everything. It's blocking out my background image, which is something that I do not want. So much like how we shrank and expanded the background image, we're gonna do the same thing here. So we just grab a corner. I'm gonna grab the top right corner, and then I'm just gonna make it slower. And so you can see now the background image comes into view. So depending on how big you want your desktop display to be in your video lecture, this is how you would go about controlling that. So I will probably typically have something about this big because I also want to leave room for the webcam. So maybe something like this. So ultimately this is up to you. Something else to keep in mind, and this is totally optional, but OBS also gives you the ability to crop and control the dimensions of your desktop. So for example, maybe for some reason you don't want your students to see the entire portion of your desktop. Maybe you only want them to see a certain section of it. The way to control that is pick a side that you want to either expand or make smaller. And you're gonna hold Alt down on your keyboard, and then you're going to click and drag this little block in the middle here. So if you do that, you'll see this line becomes green as opposed to red, right? So now we can shrink the size of our desktop. So, if I only want students to see this portion of my desktop, this is how we do it. And the same idea applies. If we want to expand it, we're gonna hold down Alt, and then we're gonna pull the box out. Right, and then I can hold Alt, pull this out. Okay, so that's a neat little function you can play around with if you don't want your students to see your entire desktop. Okay, so I'll just put this right here. And that's how you add the desktop to your video lecture. Thank you.